Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a question that, well, it's echoed through all of human history, hasn't it? It's that really personal one, the one that hits us all at some point, maybe during tough times, or when we see crises unfold, or even just in quiet moments. You know the one. If God exists, why is there suffering? It's that huge mystery we all grapple with, sometimes with tears, sometimes confusion, maybe even anger. And this question, it really cuts deep. Sometimes it creates a real divide, right, between believers and skeptics. But fundamentally, everyone's asking the same thing, trying to make sense of it all. So today, our mission is to really embark on an insightful journey. We're going deep into a whole range of spiritual sources. We're talking ancient scriptures, the Gita, the Vedas, the Quran, but also the Bible, the Guru Granth Sahib, even the Kabir Sagar. We're going to sift through them, pull out the key insights, and try to uncover not just why we suffer, but maybe more importantly, the actual path to liberation from it. We think we can offer a pretty unique perspective here, maybe something beyond the usual explanations, the ones that often feel
unsatisfying. It might even reframe how you see things entirely. And look, this isn't just academic. This deep dive is for you, the listener, the learner, who wants more than just facts. You want real insight into life's big challenges. Think of it as a shortcut to getting well-informed, maybe with a few surprising ideas along the way. Okay, so let's dive straight in. The human condition. Every single one of us, right? We experience it, we're born, we grow up, we face struggles, so many struggles, illness hits us, and eventually we die. It's inescapable. And within that whole lifespan, there's just this huge spectrum. Grief that feels like it's tearing you apart. Injustice that just makes you burn inside. Hunger, war, those random terrible accidents that just come out of nowhere and leave you reeling. Even as kids, we ask, don't we? If God's supposed to be kind, why does it hurt so much? Why do we cry? And atheists as well, they logically challenge it. Look, if there's a good, all-powerful God, how do you explain all this mess? It just doesn't add up. Okay. Even within religions, you hear common explanations. Things like, it's all God's play, God's Leela. It's a way to try and grasp something that feels, well, inexplicable, putting a divine label on what feels like chaos.
And that's where things get really interesting, because the sources we're looking at today, they offer a perspective that's, well, strikingly different. It comes from Sant Rampalji Maharaj, and he states it very clearly. This is not God's play, it is Kal, Brahm's trap.
Okay, Kal's trap, not God's play.
Exactly. And this isn't just, semantics or a different word choice. It's a fundamental rethink of where suffering actually comes from. It suggests suffering isn't just random and it's not the direct will of the Supreme God. Instead, it's presented as a deliberate system, a kind of a setup operating within a specific spiritual zone or realm.
So it shifts the focus away from like a whimsical God.
Right, away from that and towards understanding a more structured, maybe more complex spiritual architecture, one with its own rules, its own governor, if you will.
That's a really profound assertion. Not God's play, but Kal's trap. I imagine for a lot of our listeners, it's a completely new way of thinking about it. It definitely challenges the idea of just one single benevolent God being responsible for everything we experience. Could you maybe elaborate a bit? How does understanding this kind of spiritual architecture, these maybe layers of existence, different managing entities, how does that help reconcile suffering without saying the ultimate God isn't good?
Absolutely. I think the biggest misconception it just shatters right away is that the ultimate, truly benevolent creator is directly causing or intending all this suffering. When you view suffering through this lens of Kal's trap, it changes the question. You're not questioning the ultimate God's goodness anymore. Instead, you're starting to recognize that, okay, maybe we exist within a specific system, one set up by a powerful but ultimately subordinate divine being.
Okay, like a specific zone with its own manager.
Exactly. Think of it like a huge building. The main architect designed the whole thing, right? Beautiful design, benevolent intention. But maybe one particular floor or one section is managed by a different tenant. And that tenant has their own rules, maybe some really difficult ones. The problems happening on that floor aren't necessarily the architect's direct fault or intention. They're a function of the system that specific tenant put in place.
That makes sense. The architect didn't mandate leaky pipes on the third floor.
Yeah.
The tenant managing it just didn't fix them, or maybe even installed them badly.
Precisely. So this perspective immediately shifts the paradigm. We move away from that agonizing question, why would a good God allow this? And we start exploring this idea of a distinct spiritual architecture. Layers of existence, different managers, each with their own domain. It genuinely changes the whole story from, say, divine punishment to being caught in a specific identifiable system, and crucially, one you can potentially escape.
That's a powerful analogy, a cosmic blueprint with different management levels. Okay, so If this suffering isn't part of the true Supreme God's Leela, his play, let's dive into the scriptures. Let's see what they say about this Kal's trap. We should probably start with the Bhagavad Gita. It's such a central text for many. Our sources point us specifically to chapter 15, verses 16 and 17. These seem foundational for understanding this cosmic hierarchy. They introduce this idea of three distinct Purushas, three divine entities, each with a specific role in this spiritual setup. So first up, we have Kshar Purush.
Right, Kshar.
And that word Kshar itself is really significant, isn't it? It means perishable, transient, subject to decay.
Yes, temporary, not eternal.
And our sources identify this Kshar Purush as Kal, the very entity, the architect of this realm we're currently in. So picture this incredibly powerful being, but one whose essence, and therefore his whole domain, is ultimately impermanent.
It's a crucial point. He's immensely powerful, yes, but not ultimate. His power, his realm, it's all bounded by that transience.
And that perishable nature seems key to understanding why suffering is just so built in here. Everything within his realm is subject to change, loss, decay.
It's inherent in the design of Kshar's domain.
Then the Gita takes us higher to Akshar Purush, the imperishable God, also called Parbrahm.
Akshar meaning imperishable. So this suggests a higher realm, more enduring than Krishar's. It definitely a step up.
More stable, less transient for sure.
Yes, but, and this is a really subtle but vital point, often miss even this realm, Akshar's realm, isn't the final destination according to the Gita. It's still described as being within a larger cosmic structure that falls short of true, eternal, absolute liberation.
So imperishable relative to Kshar, but not absolutely, ultimately immortal.
That's the understanding presented. It's a higher level of existence, but still not the ultimate reality.
Okay, and then comes the real game changer, right? Above both Kshar and Akshar, the Gita mentions a Param Akshar Brahm, the supreme God.
Param Akshar Brahm, the ultimate imperishable God, a powerful description.
And while the Gita uses that term, our sources, by synthesizing insights from various texts, they directly identify this singular, ultimate divine authority. They name him as Kabirji.
Yes. And this isn't just picking a name out of a hat. It's presented as a revelation that connects the dots across different spiritual traditions. It establishes a clear hierarchy with one benevolent, truly ultimate power at the very top, completely distinct from Kal's perishable realm and even Akshar's relatively imperishable one.
That hierarchy itself starts to untangle the suffering puzzle, doesn't it?
It really does, because the next logical question is, okay, what are the consequences for us, the souls living within these realms, even the higher ones? And the Gita gives a pretty stark answer, chapter 8, verse 16.
What does it say?
It says, all beings, even those reaching Brahmlok, which is associated with Kalpshar Purush, are caught in the cycle of birth and death.
Wow. Even reaching that high state doesn't grant final escape.
Exactly. It's a fundamental limitation within those realms. Even high spiritual achievements there don't offer true permanent liberation from suffering and rebirth. And what's truly mind-blowing is that the speaker of the Gita, identified by our sources as Kal Brahm himself, he basically admits it.
He admits his own realm is temporary.
He essentially says, yes, his domain is one where everyone, all beings, must go through suffering, pleasure, birth, and death endlessly. It's like an admission from the system administrator. Yep, that's how my system works. No permanent exit here.
That is quite a bombshell. An admission from the landlord himself that the lease always runs out, so to speak.
Right, and the Gita reinforces how hard it is to get out. Chapter 7, verse 14.
Let me guess, it's not easy.
Not at all. It says, my Maya is difficult to cross, and this Maya, this divine illusion, is directly tied to Kal Brahm's rule.
Okay, Maya, we hear that term a lot. Can you unpack what Maya actually is in this context? Is it just like mental confusion?
Yeah.
Or something more?
That's a great question. It's much more than just a trick of the mind. Maya, in this understanding, is a powerful active energy. It's under Kal's control. And its purpose is to create attachments, desires, the very perception of reality that keeps souls tangled up, ensnared.
So it actively binds us.
It actively binds. It's like a masterfully built maze, not just confusing, but designed to hold you. It manifests as our obsession with worldly things, possessions, relationships, status, all that stuff.
Which inevitably leads to suffering because it's all temporary.
Precisely, because it's all transient within Kal's realm. So the suffering isn't random bad luck. It's a direct, unavoidable outcome of being caught in this deceptive system, blinded by Maya. The rules of suffering, the cycles of pleasure and pain, they are inherent features, not bugs.
Okay, so the Gita paints this picture of a hierarchical structure ruled by Kal, where suffering is systemic due to its perishable nature and the power of Maya. Now let's see how other texts fit in. You mentioned the Vedas and the Quran contain corroborating clues.
Yes, like finding pieces of the same puzzle in different boxes. They offer hints about the supreme God and the nature of this world we're in.
Let's start with the Vedas. The Yajur Veda, you said, describes the supreme God in a specific way.
Yes, Yajurveda chapter 40, verse 8, it describes the supreme God as formful and immortal.
Formful. That's interesting. Many think of the ultimate divine as formless energy.
Exactly. This description challenges that abstract idea. It suggests a tangible, eternal presence, a personality, perhaps.
And the Rig Veda.
Rig Veda 10.90.2 adds that he created everything, a singular ultimate creator.
So why is this idea of a formful, singular creator so important when we're talking about suffering and Kal?
Well, the formful aspect suggests a God who isn't just an abstract principle, but someone who can be known, perceived, maybe even interacted with directly. That's crucial for the idea of liberation, seeking refuge in someone. And when Rigveda says he created everything, the interpretation from our sources is that this points to that same supreme God identified as Kabirji as the original creator of all realms.
Even Kal's universes.
Even Kal's 21 universes. It establishes that Kabirji is the ultimate source, the original architect, while Kal is more like a regional governor who set up his own system within that larger creation.
So it separates the ultimate benevolent creator from the manager of the system where suffering occurs.
Precisely. And the formful nature suggests a God who is accessible, not just a distant concept.
Got it. Now, the Quran Sharif, you mentioned Surah Furqan 25.59.
Yes. It speaks of the Rahman who created everything, but whose true knowledge is not known.
Rahman, often translated as most merciful.
Exactly. The most merciful, the beneficent. The Quran says this Rahman created everything, yet his true knowledge remains hidden from many.
Another piece suggesting a veiled ultimate reality.
It's pivotal. Our sources connect this Rahman directly to the supreme God, Kabirji.
So the most merciful creator is Kabirji, but his true nature isn't widely known.
That's the understanding presented. It brings this amazing coherence across faiths, suggesting one ultimate God whose identity is hinted at, but perhaps obscured in various scriptures. And the implication is crucial for suffering. Suffering persists here in what's identified as Kal Lok, because Kal is the master of this domain, not the true benevolent Raman Kabirji.
So it's not that the ultimate creator is ignoring us.
It's more like we're living under a different management system with its own rules and consequences established by Kal. The most merciful Rahman is outside this immediate system, offering a way back to his eternal realm.
It really does feel like finding consistent notes across different musical scores. Okay, let's turn to the Bible now. It offers a very well-known narrative about the origin of suffering.
Genesis, yes. Adam and Eve.
Right. Genesis 3.1719. The story of the transgression, the forbidden fruit, and the consequences a curse. A curse leading directly to suffering. Man is cursed to toil, sweat, struggle with the earth just to eat, thorns and thistles. Woman is cursed with pain and childbirth.
Fundamental human struggles right there at the beginning.
And what's really interesting, as you pointed out, is how it frames suffering. It's not presented as just random divine anger. It's framed as a direct result, the wages of a specific action sin.
A cause and effect relationship, action, reaction.
Exactly. A specific choice led to specific painful consequences within that framework.
And that idea gets reinforced very strongly later in the New Testament, Romans 6.23.
What does that say?
For the wages of sin is death, plain and simple.
So it directly links sin deviating from divine law, making a wrong choice within the system, to suffering and mortality.
It solidifies that connection. Within this particular system described, certain actions have the inherent consequence of suffering and death.
Which brings us back to that crucial question. Who set up this system of wages, this consequence framework?
And again, our sources draw that vital distinction. They suggest the true Father, the supreme God Kabirji, doesn't operate on this kind of punitive system. The suffering and death described are consequences within Kal's system, the rules of the realm we inhabit. The true God offers liberation from that system.
So the Bible describes the rules of Kal's game, so to speak, while the ultimate God offers a way to stop playing.
That's a good way to put it. It highlights the specific, systematic nature of consequences within this particular domain, distinguishing it from the ultimate divine will, which is presented as purely benevolent and liberating.
Okay. This is building a very consistent picture. Now, finally, let's look at the Guru Granth Sahib and the Kabir Sagar. You said these texts bring even more clarity, perhaps even naming names directly.
Yes, they are remarkably direct, especially compared to the more veiled hints in some other scriptures.
What does the Guru Granth Sahib say?
On page 721, it states, quite unequivocally, Kabir himself is the supreme God, Parmeshwar.
Yeah, just states it outright.
And again on page 24, Kabir, you are the Lord, the supreme God. It's unambiguous.
After piecing together clues from the Gita, Vedas, Quran, Bible, finding such direct statements must feel like finding the final piece of the puzzle.
It really does. It removes the layer of interpretation needed elsewhere. It provides a clear name, a definitive identity for the Param Akshar Brahm, the Brahman, the formful creator. For seekers, it offers a clear focal point. The ultimate divine is named as Kabir Ji.
Incredibly powerful. And the Kabir Sagar, you mentioned it provides more of a backstory.
Yes, the Kabir Sagar gives this vivid narrative, almost a cosmic history, explaining how this whole suffering system began. It describes Kal acquiring dominion over 21 universes.
Acquiring them, like a cosmic real estate deal.
In a manner of speaking, through a specific divine agreement or concession from the supreme god Kabir, but then having gained this dominion, Kal trapped all the souls within these universes.
Trap them how?
By instituting this intricate, unending cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And according to the Kabir Sagar, he made a vow that souls wouldn't easily escape or even remember their true eternal home with Kabir Ji.
So the system's designed for entrapment.
Exactly. It provides a compelling backstory for why suffering feels so systematic, so deeply embedded in our existence. It's not random, it's part of Kal's design for his dominion.
So putting it all together, synthesizing these different scriptures.
When you synthesize them, they consistently point towards Kal as the architect and governor of this realm of suffering, and they distinguish him clearly from the ultimate benevolent supreme god Kabir Ji. The texts collectively show that suffering is tied to Kal's system, and liberation is tied to seeking refuge in Kabir Sahib. It's a really coherent, if complex, picture.
Okay, let's try and consolidate this now, based on everything we've pulled from the scriptures, guided by Saint Rampalji Maharaj's explanations. Let's outline the core reasons for suffering. Point 1 seems fundamental. We exist within Kalo.
Yes, that's the bedrock. Our current reality unfolds within Kal's realm. And it's not just a location, it's a whole system.
A system with inherent rules, its own kind of spiritual physics and metaphysics. What does that really mean for the souls living here? How does it feel?
It means this realm operates on specific laws, primarily the law of karma, action, and reaction. That's the physics. The metaphysics are the cycles of creation, preservation, destruction, birth, death, rebirth that souls are endlessly subjected to, like cogs in a giant machine.
So suffering isn't a mistake, it's a feature.
It's built into the fabric of this dimension. It's part of the design, ensuring souls remain occupied, distracted by pleasure and pain, and ultimately bound to the cycle. It's designed to keep us here.
And within Kal-Luk, the main operating principle is point 2, the law of karma.
Right. Karma is the engine driving experiences here. Every action, thought, word creates a karmic imprint, a consequence that dictates future experiences.
Which explains why life seems so unfair, sometimes why fortunes vary so wildly.
Exactly. It's the unfolding of accumulated karma from countless past lives. It's not divine punishment from the supreme god. It's the automatic balancing mechanism within Kal's system. It ensures every action gets a reaction, keeping the cycle going.
Even good deeds.
Even good deeds generate good karma, which might lead to a better rebirth, but still within Kal-Luk, still bound to the cycle. True liberation requires transcending all karma.
Okay. Then point 3, Kal's vow. You mentioned he made a promise or agreement.
Yes. Sources say he vowed that souls in his realm would remain trapped in the cycle of birth and death, unable to easily escape or remember their true origin.
That adds another layer of intentionality to the system. It suggests suffering isn't just a byproduct, but a condition of this realm, part of an ancient agreement.
It reinforces the idea of a carefully constructed system designed to perpetuate itself and keep souls bound within it.
It does sound quite bleak, quite inescapable, if that's the case.
It would be, except for point 4.
Which is?
Kabir Ji's warning and guidance. The supreme god, Kabir Ji, didn't just leave souls unaware. He lovingly warned us, clearly stating, this is Kal's trap. He exposed the system.
And he offered a way out.
Critically, yes. He provided the specific guidance. To escape, one must receive initiation into and chant his sacred name.
So there's a direct warning and a direct actionable solution. A path to bypass Kal's rules.
Exactly. It fundamentally changes the narrative. It's not about divine punishment. It's about being caught in a specific system, but one with a clearly marked exit provided by the ultimate creator.
So this understanding that suffering stems from Kal's system, not a cruel supreme God.
Yeah.
How does that shift our perspective? What does it mean for our own journey?
It means we can stop blaming the ultimate creator for our pain. We can see our situation more clearly as participants in a specific, albeit challenging realm. And crucially, it means the supreme God isn't the source of the problem. He's the source of the solution. He's the one offering the escape route. It shifts everything from potential despair or confusion towards hope and a clear path for liberation.
Which directly addresses that raw, painful question people ask. If God exists, is he cruel?
Yes. And based on this deep dive, the answer is a clear, comforting no.
The true supreme God, Kabir Sahib, is presented as purely benevolent. The cruelty, the suffering, it's not his design.
Exactly. The suffering is emphatically not from him. It's a product of Kal's trap, Kal's realm, Kal's rules.
And Kabir Sahib himself stated this.
Yes, there's a quote attributed to him. All souls are bound by Kal, and humans suffer without the name.
That powerfully draws the line, doesn't it? Suffering comes from being bound by Kal, and the solution involves the name, which comes from Kabirji.
It perfectly encapsulates the distinction.
I like your earlier analogy of the rented house. We're living under the landlord Kal's rules, which might be harsh, uncomfortable, systemic. But our true loving parent, the supreme God Kabirji, lives elsewhere in a place of perfect freedom and love, and he's constantly sending us messages, showing us the way out, offering to bring us home.
Exactly. The hardship isn't because the parent is cruel, it's because we're currently subject to the landlord's contract, and the parent is offering to break that contract for us.
It removes that terrible burden of thinking the ultimate divine source is somehow pleased by or indifferent to our pain.
It absolutely does.
Okay, so if we understand the why Kal's trap, karma, Maya the next, absolutely vital question is how? How do we escape?
And the sources don't just diagnose the problem, they prescribe a very specific remedy.
It starts with the appearance of the liberator himself, right?
Yes. The sources confirm that Kabir Sahib himself appeared on Earth about 600 years ago. He didn't just observe, he came to actively teach this hidden knowledge and reveal the precise path to liberation.
So this isn't a new philosophy, it's presented as ancient wisdom being periodically re-revealed.
Exactly, a divine intervention to guide souls back.
And for today,
Yeah.
how is this knowledge accessed now?
Our sources indicate that Sant Rampalji Maharaj is fulfilling that role today. He's presented as the present-day spiritual guide, delivering the same liberating knowledge and teachings that Kabir Sahib revealed.
The continuation of that lineage, making the path accessible now.
Yes, because this true knowledge can become obscured over time. It often requires a living, enlightened master to correctly interpret the scriptures and impart the practical method.
And that practical method is?
It's called correct name initiation, specifically receiving and chanting the sacred mantras Satnam and Sarnam.
Okay, correct name initiation. What makes it correct? And why these specific names? Is it just chanting words?
No, it's far more than just reciting words. Satnam and Sarnam are described as incredibly potent spiritual mantras originally revealed by Kabirji himself. They carry immense power.
And the correct part?
The correct part refers to receiving these mantras directly from a truly authorized spiritual master, like Sant Rampalji Maharaj, according to these sources. The master doesn't just give you the words, they impart the spiritual understanding, the proper method of practice, and crucially, they establish a direct spiritual connection between the initiated soul and the supreme God, Kabirji.
Like plugging into the right power source.
Exactly. It allows the soul to draw the spiritual energy needed to overcome Kal's influence, the Maya, the karma. It's a precise technique, like having the specific key needed to unlock a very complex lock. Any old key won't work.
So precision, authenticity, and the lineage are key. And this core idea, seeking refuge in the Supreme via a specific path, we saw hints of this across different scriptures, didn't we?
Absolutely. The Gita, chapter 18, verse 62. Take refuge in that supreme God. It points directly to surrendering to the ultimate authority for liberation.
And the Bible, John 8.32, the truth will set you free.
Which resonates perfectly with finding the true knowledge about Kal, Kabirji, and the actual way out. Ignorance binds, true knowledge liberates.
And the Quran's call to worship Rahman,
whom our sources identify as Kabirji, the most merciful, the true supreme God. It all points back to the same source, the same refuge.
So when you bring it all together through this specific lens,
you see this remarkable convergence. Gita, Bible, Quran, Vedas, Guru Granth Sahib, They all seem to contain fragments of this truth, all ultimately pointing towards seeking refuge in Kabir Parmeshwar through the correct spiritual practice taught by a true master as the only way out of suffering.
The method seems universal. Find the truth, seek the highest refuge, follow the specific path shown. Okay, that's the theory, the scriptural basis. It sounds incredibly profound, but what about the practical reality? What actually happens to people who follow this path, who practice this correct name initiation?
And that's where it gets really compelling, because the sources don't just talk theology, they emphasize real-world results.
Tangible changes.
Yes. Practitioners who sincerely follow the instructions, chanting Kabirji's name as initiated, report noticeable changes. Things like a gradual reduction in physical ailments, less mental anxiety, a lifting of emotional sorrow. It's described as a genuine lightening of the karmic load.
So not just coping better, but actual relief.
That's the claim. And beyond the physical and mental, there's a deeper internal shift.
Inner peace.
A growing sense of profound inner peace. A resilience that wasn't there before, even when facing difficulties. An inner calm that starts to permeate their life.
And there's evidence for this.
Well, the sources point to thousands of devotees sharing personal testimonies. People affirming that their lives have genuinely, fundamentally improved through this specific spiritual practice. They talk about finding a peace and purpose that goes beyond just worldly success or failure. It's described as experiencing that aha moment personally.
So it's presented as a path with practical, verifiable benefits, not just abstract beliefs. Finding that calm eye in the storm of life.
Exactly. It's about experiencing the transformation, finding real solace and freedom in a world that otherwise seems defined by suffering.
Okay, so let's bring it all back home to that huge question we started with. If God exists, why is there suffering?
Based on our deep dive today, the answer presented by these sources is clear. Suffering exists because we are currently residing in Kalok. We're trapped in a specific spiritual realm, governed by Kal, operating under his rules of karma and maya. It's a systemic issue within this particular cosmic zone.
And the crucial clarification.
The crucial clarification is that the true supreme God, Kabirji, is entirely benevolent. He is not the source of the suffering. He is the liberator.
He's the loving parent, offering the way out of the difficult rental situation.
Precisely. And the ultimate message is one of hope. Liberation is possible. But it's specifically through seeking refuge in Kabir Parmeshwar, following the authentic path revealed in the scriptures.
A path requiring correct initiation and the chanting of specific sacred names.
Yes, and Sant Ramalji Maharaj is presented as the one currently authorized to provide that initiation and guide seekers on this path today.
And the promise.
The promise, derived from these scriptures, is that those who sincerely receive the initiation and chant the name will find freedom from the cycle, freedom from birth, death, disease, and sorrow. Ultimate liberation.
So the bottom line, according to these sources, is quite direct.
Very direct. If God exists, why is there suffering? Because we are trapped in Kal's world. Supreme God Kabirji is the only one who can end it.
Powerful summary. So for you, our listener, after exploring all of this, the idea of Kalal, the role of Kabirji, the path of the name, if suffering really is part of a meticulously designed system within a specific realm, what does truly understanding that compel you to do? Does it make you want to dig even deeper into these ancient truths? Does it spark a desire to find that escape route for yourself?
It really brings up a core question for everyone listening, doesn't it? Are you content to just, live by the rules of this realm, accepting the ups and downs as inevitable? Or does the compelling possibility of a totally different existence, one genuinely free from suffering, call to you? Does it motivate you to actively seek out that path for yourself?
A profound thought to end on. Perhaps the ultimate deep dive is the one into our own spiritual potential and the path to true freedom.